Hello, this is Hawker Muddlefoot, student of science. You're probably listening to the St. Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. But I'm not sure, 'cause I've only checked my calculations twice.
I gotta say, I don't like calamari, but after reading this issue, I really don't like calamari. Ugh. All right. Welcome to the St. Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. We're your hosts, Mike Russo and
Tiffany Silverbraun.
You doing, Tiff?
Pretty good.
New and exciting?
Yeah, a bunch of stuff.
Like what?
Trying to buy a house, hopefully.
Nice. Good luck with that. Any leads?
Yeah, there's like a super spooky house down the street that I've been trying to get for a long time, and it just went up for sale, so hopefully we can get that.
Because I gotta do the Disney reference. I gotta do it. I apologize. You showed me pictures of this house. My first response was, "Ooh, talk about your fixer-upper."
Totally.
But you told me you are into construction, so this might be a fun project for you.
Yeah, that's what I like about it.
Well, good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
And before we go any further, I have to apologize and make a correction from last week. We had the whole Sesame Street discussion, and I said Emilio Delgado's name wrong like a million times. His name is Emilio, and I was saying it Emil the entire time. I know better than that, and I felt like a complete chump when I listened to the episode after we recorded it. So, yes, Emilio, I apologize. That's kind of disrespectful, so I definitely want to apologize for that. So, moving on from that little mistake, we both recently watched the new Pixar film, Turning Red, so I thought it would be nice if we gave our thoughts about that movie, huh?
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was pretty good. It was interesting because it didn't really feel like a Pixar movie to me.
Why?
I don't know, the style, it looked very like Steven Universe or something.
I can't with that style.
And yeah, I don't know, just like the writing and everything was completely different. I mean, it's cool. You don't want to do the same thing over and over again. So
No, absolutely not. No. Yeah, I'm not big on that art style. I mean, Luca did it too, but this one's a lot more in your face. I mean, the giant jelly bean mouths, I don't like.
Yeah.
And that's a very big part of this movie's aesthetic. The story is fine. I'm not going to be one of those prudes who's complaining because there was a box of pads in the movie. Give me a break.
I know. It's weird that people are still weird about that. I thought that was good. They never have that stuff in movies or TV shows for little girls, and it's such a big part of growing up. I think that was a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know what people's problem is, really. Like, people are just nuts. And I wasn't expecting, spoiler alert, I wasn't expecting the movie to go kind of kaiju at the end there.
Oh, yeah.
I was not expecting it to go in that direction. But, these movies tend to have those action climaxes, so I guess it's not too much of a shock. It's just I wasn't expecting the way they did it. But it's fun. My daughter liked it. I mean, at the moment, she's obsessed with Encanto and says nothing's going to change that.
Yeah, the girls thought it was hilarious.
We asked her, like, which one do you like more, Encanto or Turning Red? Encanto. Wait a minute, do you like Encanto more than Frozen? Yes. I was like, wow, okay.
Well, Encanto has all the songs.
I know, we're 3 months in and she's still obsessed with it.
Nice.
But we're going to get right into the issue now because we have a new feature for the podcast we're going to try toward the end. So we're going to get started now and have a bit of a talk later on. So here we are at issue 12 of, now we're going to call it, I guess, Kaboom's Darkwing Duck comic. And it's the final part of FOWL Disposition. And as always, we've got two covers. Tiffany, what does cover 12A look like?
So it's on like a set of a sitcom or something. You see a boom mic and lights overhead, and you see Morgana dressed like Donna Reed, basically, with a 50s housewife dress, and Launchpad is dressed as Art Carney from the Honeymooners. Darkwing is in like a sweater vest, smoking a pipe, weirdly. And Honker is like Dennis the Menace-esque.
Yeah, with a slingshot in his back pocket and a backwards cap.
And Goslin is in a little pink frilly dress with her hair in pigtails.
That looks familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's definitely from Life in the Negaverse and everything.
Yeah.
What else do we see on this cover?
We see the audience of like Cthulhu looking slaves with red eyes staring at them, and we see Steelbeak in the corner switching on a laugh sign.
It's a cool cover. It's close to what happens in this issue. Not exact though. We'll see why when we get into it. I like it well enough. You have one major complaint with it, which I had a chuckle out of. What is your complaint?
Oh, that the Cthulhu slaves look kind of like a Christmas tree.
and for the very first time, what do we see in terms of a feature of one of the characters?
Morgana's feet.
No, she doesn't have feet. I'm convinced she doesn't have feet. She should not have feet. But there we go. She's got feet. It's a cool cover. I gotta say though, I like cover B a little bit more. It's another Amy Meberson cover. And Tiffany, what's this one look like?
So this one is like a parody of the Uncanny X-Men 141, where we have a wall with a wanted type poster on it, and you see Steelbeak, you see Quiverwing, and she has a sign over it that says homework. You see Darkwing, he says loser over his face.
Great face on Darkwing though, very true to the show.
Mm-hmm. Quacker Jack upside down with choking hazard. Arrow Kid with nosebleed. Bushroot with his like leaves missing, and it says leaf rot.
Another great drawing. I love this picture of Bushroot. It's very funny.
Yep. And then in the bottom right, you have Fenton, and it says missing. And
which, yeah, at this point in the comic, people were going, okay, what happened to Fenton? We have a Gizmo Duck suit, but no Fenton, and he hasn't come back for it. People were actually talking about this when the comic was new. Like, what the heck is going on with Fenton? Yeah. And there we go. He's missing, apparently.
Yeah. And then to the left, we're guessing that it's probably Liquidator, and it says something like humidified or
humidifier.
Yeah, humidifier. And
because this is in place. The comic cover has a whole bunch of mutants with notes saying slain or apprehended, but this, of course, is the more humorous version of it.
Yeah. And then in front of that, you've got a Launchpad in place of Wolverine with an angry looking face and his fists out, and you got Morgana like conjuring up some magic in her hands.
And on the original X-Men issue, the top left, there's pictures of various headshots of the different mutants. Here, it's Darkwing, Goslin, Honker, Launchpad, and Morgana. They go 100% on these references in this parody.
Yeah.
I like this cover. What do you think?
Yeah, I really like it too.
Which one do you prefer?
I think I like that one, the second one better, the B. I
feel bad that, like, in general, we're preferring the Meberson and Alberghetti covers over the Silvani ones. But I guess he's all over the inside of the comic anyway, so I don't feel very bad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we praise his artwork. It's just nice to get other styles on the covers once in a while.
Yeah.
So before we start, I'm going to be really honest here. I don't like this issue.
I'm not that into it either.
And I don't want to sound stupid, but it's hard to understand what's happening in the story. Even it being clarified and definitively dangerous doesn't totally help. And it's confusing. It's trying to be really existential and it's trying to be deep and play up this family thing. And it just doesn't work for me to the extent where I'm kind of checking out on the story.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. It's a little sappy, maybe.
You'll definitely have to bear with us if we don't exactly retell the story 100% because it's a little confusing. And you'll see what we mean. If you only own the Boom version of it, I can totally get why you'd be lost. Again, Definitively Dangerous clarifies a few things, but I think even there, the story's too much of a mess to really just save it with changed dialogue, in my opinion. But they tried. All right, so here we go. Issue 12, how do we start?
So it goes right back into it from where we left off. And you see Darkwing, he's still strapped to the altar. And Ducktulu is rising. And you see Steelbeak, he's really having second thoughts about this and thinks it's a bad idea and that FOWL went too far.
I like how he does say, don't get me wrong, scaring Darkwing stupid is darn good entertainment.
Yeah.
And
you get FOWL High Command tells Steelbeak silence and wants to go forth with the plan, but then you see all the Eggmen start turning into Duckthulu slaves, and Steelbeak himself starts morphing into a tentacled Duckthulu slave.
Yep. So they have gone too far. And then we cut back to the caves where Ammonia Pine has just knocked out F.O.W.L, and the Eggmen have grabbed Goslin Honker, aka Quivering Quack, and the Arrow Kid. And just when Ammonia's about to do something, have them taken away, F.O.W.L gets up and kicks Ammonia right in the stomach. Her reasoning is that Ammonia's messing with kids. And she says, if you want to mess with kids, then you're messing with me. How do you feel about that?
I hate it. I think I can't tell if there's no like backstory there, and it kind of makes me feel like they're just doing it because she's a woman and women are supposed to be motherly and care about kids, and she's already like a borderline sexist character, so
and it doesn't give the character any depth. It's like a very simplistic reason for fighting back. I will say all this don't mess with kids stuff is not in Definitively Dangerous. Here she says something along the lines of, you've always been squeaky clean, Ammonia, but your puns are stale. Something like that. Which is fine. You know what? I'll take that over what she says in the Boom version of it.
Yeah.
So what does she do next?
Then she does like a let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a 7-person kick at the Eggman and says getting scrambled eggs. And she saves Honker and Goslin, and unfortunately Honker sits up and you see that he is becoming a Duckthulu slave now and has a tentacle beard.
But very true to Goslin, she thinks the tentacles are cool.
Yep.
So Ammonia revs up to smack F.O.W.L with her mop, but before she's able to do that, she's struck by a blast of magic and is turned into a pile of dirt. Who just showed up to save the day?
Morgana.
Woo! Good entrance, too.
Yep. And she doesn't know who F.O.W.L is and is going after her now. And Honker and Goslin have to try to tell her, no, don't do it. And she realizes she's F.O.W.L's on their side. And
I gotta say, I totally hate Goslin's line. Morgana, how you doing? I totally snuck out tonight. I don't like that line.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's awkward.
Which they don't change. They don't change it. They leave it the same.
Huh.
So what happens now?
F.O.W.L has the ancient texts that they need, and they all go running towards where Duckthulu is. You cut back and you see he's still revving up like his magic, Duckthulu, and Steelbeak is crazy looking now. He's like a melted tentacle beast with like his comb is now like a total fish fin.
And see, Darkwing says here, I wish I could tell everyone I was sorry. He sees Steelbeak and says, yipes, well, I could tell you, but I don't know if you'd understand it. Fine, that's fine. But in Definitively Dangerous, Steelbeak is like, with whatever, speech he's got left, he's like, tell me, Darkwing, is it bad? And Darkwing's like, yikes, I mean, and he says something along the lines of, I don't have the Definitively Dangerous right in front of me. He says, no, you look good. Just stay away from the clam bar. Which is funnier. I mean, it's fine in Boom, but it's funnier in Definitively Dangerous.
Yeah.
And he's drawn with his mouth open, Steelbeak. Like he's saying something.
Yeah.
But there's no dialogue balloon in this version of it. So what happens next?
So now they're trying to get all of Darkwing's selfishness and arrogance to feed Duckthulu and bring him to full power.
Which I don't think they're very specific. They're very they don't clarify it well enough for me here. That Duckthulu feeds on ego. That is why they wanted Darkwing the entire time.
Yeah.
And I don't think at any point in this entire story arc anybody goes out and says it in plain English. Or did I miss something?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's not super clear.
So Morgana shows up. So does F.O.W.L, Goslin, and Honker. Of course, Morgana's flying under her own magic. The other three are using jetpacks.
Jetpacks, awesome.
And yeah, so Morgana shows up, and then all of a sudden, who burst through the wall?
Launchpad in the Thunderquack, but he is now a Duckthulu slave too.
And all the Duckthulu slaves come through the wall, including Herb and Binky.
Yep.
And they're all coming in saying Duckthulu for sure, Duckthulu for sure. They're all coming in. I guess Launchpad had enough, wits about him to fly the plane.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you get the line of Duckthulu saying, "You think you can control that which is older than time itself?" And Darkwing's like, "Now who's being egotistical?"
Mm-hmm. And then the FOWL High Command drops down basically like a trap door, and they get out of there.
Yeah. Morgana forms like a giant force field bubble to protect them temporarily. They pull out the ancient scroll to try to fix things, and this is where it kind of gets a little weird.
It does. I mean, it gets weird even before they do that, because they're surrounded by Duckthulu slaves, and for some reason most of the characters are drawn either as fish or as regular ducks, but he sneaks in the March Hare, and he sneaks in another deep Disney cut, Max Hare from a silly symphony called, what was it, Tortoise and the Hare?
Yeah.
So something about rabbits in this issue, I guess.
Yeah. So they pull out the scroll, and Morgana says that she needs to change the reality of that they're in to confuse Duckthulu or something.
Switch up his order.
switch up his order. It's like the only way to battle him. And then you get a panel that's showing all the different universes.
Yeah, full page.
For her to choose from.
Okay, so we're going to have to go through them.
Yeah.
Because James Silvani is about to spend the next couple of pages going crazy with references. Because, of course, he does. So we get a whole bunch of different alternate realities that she's trying to channel. The first one seems pretty generic. It's like kind of just like a universe, right?
Yep.
The next one is, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I just said regular like space scene.
Right. The second one is another deep Disney cut. Is Math Magic Land from the Donald Duck educational short, Donald Duck and Math Magic Land.
Love it.
What's the next row? What references are in the next row?
Then you get Halloween Town from Nightmare Before Christmas.
That one's super obvious.
Yeah, you get Hell from Mr. Toad. Wait, is it Wind in the Willows?
Yeah, but it's specifically from the ride, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't go to hell in the movie. Only on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is the only. What?
It's weird that he goes to hell at all.
But he doesn't go to hell. The rider goes to hell.
Oh yeah.
It's the one Disney park ride where you die and go to hell.
Yeah, we go to hell.
Yeah. Although we don't know what the next reality is supposed to be. It's got a rainbow bridge and a city. I feel kind of dumb not knowing what this is because it's too specific to be nothing.
It's like a futuristic city.
And the next one is a variety of references to Fantasia. Chernobog.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'll tell you what I was kind of thinking, but I doubt it because it's not Disney. It was making me think of the Phantom Toll Booth.
But it's not Disney, you're right.
Yeah.
So the next one's got a bunch of things from Fantasia. We have the mushrooms, the T-Rex, a Pegasus, Chernobog. We get a Salvador Dali, which isn't Disney, but it's Salvador Dali. How can you go wrong with that? And we have Bowling Ball Darkwing's universe. And Canard Tower is a giant bowling pin. And what are the last two?
And then you got Wonderland and like where the Heffalumps and Woozles are, I guess.
Yeah, it very much reminds me of the Winnie the Pooh ride at Disney World when you actually go through that part of the I guess the featurette. And then she spots a house and is like, wait, that one, we'll use that reality. So they jump into that reality, and the screen, quote unquote, the panel goes totally blue. And then Drake wakes up and says, good morning. And what happens?
He opens a door and it's like a MC Escher staircase scene.
Hey, guess what? More references. There are 4 doors, I should say. We know one of them for sure is the Christmas Town door from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Another one is obviously a door from the Haunted Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't too obvious. You had to tell me what that was. Another door is obscured, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's the door with the talking doorknob from Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
And the 4th door, I'm pretty sure, is Boo's door from Monsters, Inc. because it has flowers stuck to it.
Yep.
And in a window, there is a little flagpole with Screwball on it. That's not a Disney reference. What's it a reference to?
Duck-a-muck.
Woo! Nice.
Yeah,
so
Daffy Duck reference.
I love that cartoon so much.
Me too.
What happens now?
Then he closes the door, goes to put his clothes on, and instead of seeing his Darkwing uniform, he sees a full-on Darkwing. This is where it's getting weird and too artsy or something.
Yeah, so we have a Darkwing Duck and a Drake in the same universe.
And he's holding him on a hanger. They ask the question of what happens if he puts him on, like, does he get absorbed by him or what happens? He puts him on and then he's like a half split down the middle, Darkwing and Drake. And
his upstairs hallway. Now, James Silvani decides to do references to Disney Broadway plays. because why not? There's a framed picture of the Beauty and the Beast poster, which is the Beast silhouette. And you can kind of make it out. There's the Lion King one too. You see the mane and the the last bit of the king. And another poster which looks like Maria von Trapp dancing in a field.
Yeah.
But I can't quite tell what that really is because that's not Disney.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Darkwing. They call him Darkwing now. He comes downstairs. What does he see?
He sees a really bright, happy kitchen with Morgana dressed as Donna Reed serving pancakes to a pigtailed Goslin. But up top, you see studio lights as if it's a set of a sitcom, and you see clapping. I was going to say you hear clapping.
She says clap, 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 and woo! And also Mrs. Potts and Chip are sitting on the table in the corner. Again, because of course they are. And the audience and the cameraman are, and the clapboard user, the guy with the clapboard, all Ducktulu slaves up in the shadows. This is when it gets really confusing. So Darkwing doesn't quite know what's happening, and Morgana's just like, go with it, honey. Just go with it. And so the doorbell rings. Actually, there's a knock on the door, not the doorbell. Darkwing opens the door, and who's standing out front?
His boss, Duckthulu, who's in a suit with a hat, coming to dinner.
And it's like he is like really dolled. I mean, he has a hat. He's got a pocket square. He has a tie clip. Very like 1950s boss. Obviously, this is a riff on all 1950s sitcoms when the boss comes to dinner. Most recently parodied in a WandaVision episode. Did you ever see WandaVision? Have you seen WandaVision?
Yeah, I finished it finally. I was
finally.
Everybody.
That was a good show. I like that.
Yep.
So Ducktulu comes into the house, crashes right through the wall. He's brought dead fish as a bouquet, and he brought white wine and red wine because he doesn't know which one goes with souls. So he brought both. But again, now it's confusing because they're having a conversation and Ducktulu's talking about, I mean, the whole gist of the conversation on Ducktulu's end is that he needed somebody as egotistical as Darkwing in order to wake him up.
Yeah.
And he's been watching him the entire time. Saw how egotistical he was when all the Darkwing variants attacked St. Canard. Showed how egotistical he was when he left his family behind to team up with Steelbeak. And that's how we knew he was the vessel to come back. Basically, right? Am I right there?
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens next after that?
So, let's see. Launchpad.
Let's see is right.
Launchpad walks in, and he's
dressed as Art
Carney. When Ducktulu's explaining everything, he turns Darkwing back into all Darkwing.
Because he wants 100% grade A Darkwing.
Yeah.
A stands for arrogant.
Yeah. And so Morgana switches him back to half and half. Launchpad walks in, and they talk about like the power of family.
Oh, by the way, when Launchpad walks into the house, he just says normal in this house. I'm sorry, he's dressed exactly like Ed Norton. He should have said, "Hey, Drakey boy."
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Come on.
Definitely.
Then they get on a whole run about family.
Yeah,
and it's a bit fan fiction-y, and I don't like it.
Yeah. Darkwing starts to say, "Let's get dangerous," and then surprise, you see the Muddlefoots pop in. "Hiya, neighbor. Got any extra beef stew?"
And they zap the window closed and get rid of the Muddlefoots. Fun little cameo.
Yeah.
So Ducktulu tears off the boss's uniform. Now he's mad.
He's super angry. They pull out the scroll, and I don't understand this part. It's like Morgana says so much power, anger.
Yeah, again, even Definitively Dangerous doesn't 100% clarify this. Like, Darkwing is trying to take charge and, like, talk his way through this, and Morgana seems to realize this isn't going to work that way. I have to take care of this myself. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then Duckthulu's eyes start glowing red and Morgana's eyes start glowing blue, and she just eye zaps him. And there's a huge explosion, and I guess that beat him.
I guess. This issue's working on like anime rules right now. Well, after the explosion, everyone's back to normal. All the Eggmen, Honker, Launchpad, statues, just rubble. And everyone's looking around, what's going on? What's happening? Darkwing, of course, starts acting like he saved the day. Because of course he does. And then Shush shows up and surrounds the Eggmen with their guns out, which, nice. It's nice they put a little bit of, nice to see it. Don't love guns in my cartoons these days, but if you're going to show government agents, you might as well have the guns.
Yeah.
And then we get our one, and I think only in the Boom comics at least, appearance by J. Gander Hooter. And it's clarified that the entire time F.O.W.L was a Shush agent. She was not with FOWL at all. She was infiltrating FOWL, but she was always on Shush's side. Here he says, "Excellent job. Now return to headquarters. I fear we must be ready for an even greater threat." I do like the change for Definitively Dangerous, where Fem says something around the tune of, "Wow, Darkwing Duck did save the day, huh?" And Jay Gander's like, "I told you not to underestimate him." And that is so Jay Gander Hooter.
Yep.
But he still says there's a greater threat on the horizon. I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about based on what's coming next. But, whatever. So how does the issue wrap up, Tiffany?
So you see Steelbeak slinking away. And everyone's happy and hugging and glad that they're all there. And Darkwing says, "It's good to have all of you here." And then he realizes that Morgana's not there. "Morgana!" And says, "I lost her." And it says the beginning instead of the end.
And there are a few changes for Definitively Dangerous I will mention. Steelbeak gets mad, I guess because he was double-crossed. But in Definitively Dangerous, he's like, "No one turns me into sushi and gets away with it." So it's fun. It's a little bit funnier that way. And then Darkwing remembers Morgana because he says, "Goslin, I want to have a talk with you about what happened with Morgana." Then he realizes she's not there. And instead of saying, "I lost her," which I don't love, he simply says she's gone.
Yeah.
Which is like the last two story arcs keep having these cryptic references to losing somebody, like it's a theme. And I've never liked that theme. Go stop Negaduck before he loses her. If I put you on, will I lose them again? And I feel like they're really trying to make that a running theme, and I just never got into it. And they took all of that out for the rewrites, and I'm cool with that. But the sad part is Morgana is gone.
Yeah.
And unless we consider Dangerous Currency canon, which we're really not supposed to, she doesn't come back. And yeah, I know you don't like that. I mean, I don't know how they could have kept her in it, because she does change the dynamic of the group. It should always be a father, a daughter, and a launch pad. Not a father, a daughter, a witch, and maybe a launch pad.
Yeah, I like Morgana being in her little spooky house and them calling on her for help when needed.
The comic seems to indicate that Morgana kind of lives with them, and they're a family, which, again, that really changes the character dynamics in a way I'm not too fond of. As much as I like Morgana, I have no problem with her as a character. I just think too much of her changes the show.
Yeah.
And so that's issue 12. Yeah. What are your thoughts? Throw a rating at me. How many gas canisters are we giving this one?
I'm gonna give it a 3.
Okay. What are your thoughts?
I think it's really confusing.
Yeah.
I don't like any of the weird family talk, and I don't like that I lost her either. It's trying to be too deep or something.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm gonna go lower. I'm giving it a 2.5. Because it's confusing and the family thing doesn't work for me. It's trying to be so deep and it can't do it. It just can't do this. And Darkwing Duck, just as a franchise, should just be silly and funny and ridiculous.
Yeah.
And this reads like 12-year-old fan fiction, and I just don't like it.
I mean, he is weirdly more like Daffy Duck than Donald Duck.
Well, yeah.
A character, so like you can't have a deep Daffy Duck cartoon.
No, absolutely not. And I feel like maybe doing the Ducktulu thing in Darkwing Duck might be a little too much. Might be, I don't know. Darkwing's fought the devil and he won. I don't know if we need to see Ducktulu. Some shows can do Ducktulu. I'm looking at you, South Park, but I don't know, not Darkwing Duck. But that's the last issue in this story arc. Boy, the next few issues in the next story arc coming up is something else. We're getting into a whole new thing here. We get a new villain. We get some new developments in Launchpad. It'll be interesting to talk about the next few of them, because the next story arc kind of starts out as like separate individual stories and it builds into something else. I'm not a huge fan, but it'll be nice to get away from this and start talking about something else. But that's next week when we talk about issue 13. So we have extra time. So we decided to come up with a new idea. It has been a while since we've talked about Darkwing Duck as a TV show. We finished the episodes a while ago, and it's been a very long time since we discussed the older episodes. On top of that, Tiffany was on for, how many were you on for? 4 episodes. So I think it'd be really fun to maybe take 5 minutes or so and just to randomly pick an old episode and talk about it. I'd love to hear what Tiffany thinks about some of these shows that we talked about years ago at this point. Which one did you pick for tonight? We'll call these the Tiffany reviews or something like that. Or the Mike and Tiffany mini reviews.
Yeah.
Which one did you pick?
Night of the Living Spud.
All right. Great episode. One of the first truly great ones. Why do you like this one?
I love this one. I think I love that it has the framing device of Darkwing telling a campfire story is great.
Because he lost his compass.
Yeah. I think the story in general is really good. It really is, it's an early episode, so you really get like a feel for what type of character Bushroot is in this.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, it's just funny. There's so many funny parts in it.
And it features one of the greatest one-off Darkwing Duck characters of all time.
Dwayne.
Yeah,
I love Dwayne.
This guy's great.
Yeah, that whole scene when like he first picks them up is just like funny the whole way through.
Them frozen aliens in the back.
And the thing about the potato that doesn't make any sense. A russet.
Red potatoes, you can reason with them.
Russets.
Just plain me. Yeah. Definite Large Marge vibes to that sequence.
Yeah. And I love the joke where it's Bushroot trying to rob the fabric store with the lady.
And the lady's still trying to make a sale.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know what to pick for my bride. Well, what does your bride look like? She's a large potato. I'd go with the blue.
And then the rednecks.
Yeah.
Get the
Vampire
diesel
test.
fuel. and how Goslin is totally okay with them doing the tests on Darkwing.
Yeah. And then it's all creepy afterwards. They're like, oh, I was looking forward to putting a stake through his heart.
I gotta say, like, I have the first few weeks of Darkwing Duck, the way it aired, burned in my brain. The first week isn't very strong. I would say Getting Antsy and Apes of Wrath are not great episodes. Beauty and the Beat is a strong origin, but it isn't a great Darkwing story. But this one you could have put really late in the life of the show, and it wouldn't lose a thing. That's how good it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's the best from that first week, which also includes Dirty Money, which was one of the first written episodes, and it's, you know, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not gonna knock a Jim Peterson episode and John Humphreys and Rob Benke. I'm not gonna knock one of their episodes, but it's an early one. This is the best of that week, and it's a great. It isn't Bushroot's show, but he's great in it.
Mm-hmm.
We also haven't talked about the zombie Posey thing, and I know you're a horror fan, so how much do you love that?
Yeah, I love just the whole idea of the vampire potato. And yeah, the, what do you call it? The whole potato backwards thing is cute and
so
fun.
it's clever, it's cute, but it's also so stupid it could only work on Darkwing Duck.
Exactly.
I'll often say something on the show is stupid. When I say something stupid, I usually mean that as a compliment. If something is stupid on Darkwing Duck, it's because it's supposed to be stupid.
Totally.
Darkwing Duck is the only Disney show that gets away with being stupid. When Bonkers is stupid, it's stupid. When Darkwing is stupid, it's the best thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Solid episode. Love it.
The only thing that would have put it over the top is if a different studio animated it. But that's not even that big a deal. It's a slightly later in production, so Sunwoo had gotten a little better. But could you imagine, like, Disney Australia doing the horror thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad at all.
No, not at all. It's got I think just the overall visual feel is fine. It all takes place in the dark, and it's a fun episode, and for an early one, it's really great. I'm glad you picked it. I'm going to be really interested in seeing which ones you do pick as we go along. So, guys, this is going to be a new thing. Because we've been trying to come up with pre-talk at the beginning of episodes. It's getting harder. There's not a lot of Darkwing stuff to talk about. And I thought just going back to old episodes, which, we talked about this one, me and Will, I think the summer or September of 2019. Man, has the world changed since then.
Yeah.
Really. And I feel like it'd be nice at the end of each episode to just go back to the show itself.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we should ever lose sight that at the end of the day, Darkwing Duck really is just one 91 episode TV show. It's really nothing else. And if we get too far from the show, I feel like we've gotten too far from the heart of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And bringing it back at the end of each episode for the time being to an episode of the show, I think is a great way to wrap things up each week.
I thought it was kind of appropriate too, because of their when they're like the potato slaves, it's pretty similar to the Duckthulu slaves.
There is definite cross DNA in this story and the comic story we just talked about. Yeah, absolutely. I just think it's funny they grow roots out of their heads and all they want to do is eat potatoes.
Yeah.
They're watching a test pattern. Great. Maybe they can understand the plot.
There's roots coming out of their heads.
Binky insists on using that fancy shampoo or something like that. See, I liked when Darkwing's an oblivious dick.
Yeah, totally.
He's not like that in the comic. He should be more of that in the comic. Like, Goslin will be screaming at him. Like, Dad, look at this. And he just doesn't want to hear it. And that's why he's so great. So that's the last part of Foul Disposition, our short discussion of Night of the Living Spud. Next week we'll do another episode. Tiffany hasn't even told me which one she wants to talk about. Surprise me going in. I want to be surprised from now on. I don't want to know what we're talking about until you mention it.
All right.
So that said, we are the St. Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. You can find us on all podcast apps: Stitcher, Spotify, Google, iTunes, Facebook, iHeartRadio, Spotify. I said Spotify already. Pandora, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and you can also watch us on Facebook. If you do, please subscribe. Tiffany, you can watch us on YouTube. Thank you so much. I'm getting so burnt out of this outro. And Tiffany, is there anything you want to plug, or how can the fans find you?
I'm on Instagram at Tiffany Silverbraun and at Regurgitating Gertie, and I'm on YouTube at Radioact Tiffany.
And I think I speak on behalf of myself and all the listeners. I hope the house situation works out how you want it to.
Yay! Thank you.
Because you seem really excited for this house. So.
Yep, I am.
And it looks like a fun project for you. Yeah. So keep our listeners posted, and we'll touch base on it again sometime. So until then, everyone, just be sure to say potato backwards, not ote top, potato backwards, and we will see you next week. Stay safe, everybody. Stay dangerous.
Bye.
Bye. Stay safe and dangerous. You can do both. Good night, everyone.